Welcome to episode 5 of Seneca Spotlight. Today we'll be interviewing Zach Arnold, the CEO of local manufacturer Arnold Machine. If you like our content, be sure to like, share, and follow so you can stay up to date with all of our future episodes of Seneca Spotlight. All right, Zach, well, thank you for joining us today on Seneca Spotlight. Let's start off with the easiest of easy questions. Tell us about Arnold Machine and what you do at Arnold Machine.
All right. Well, we started Arnold Machine in 1994 over on Miami Street here in Tiffin. Just general machine shop, and that has grown to our primary business is designing and building manufacturing equipment, robotics, automation, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, so
that's the short version.
Yeah, the real short version. So let's dive into that a little bit, because I know in my role what a machine shop is. But the common person on the street, unless they work at one, they probably machine shop. What the heck is a machine shop? You know, why don't you talk a little bit about what a machine shop is?
Yeah. Well, the machine shop, that's a great question. I've not really thought of that. What is a machine shop?
You build machines, essentially, right?
We do, yeah. We do build machines. Machine shop would be using machines to cut and shape metal and make precision parts for machines and various different things.
Yeah.
And that's how we started.
Yeah. So I know I've been in there and seen a lot of these kind of autonomous robots that you have. One I remember you demonstrated for us. I think we were there maybe with Congressman Ladd. It might have been that visit that it literally was grabbing things and moving around probably 10 times as quick as a human hand could.
Yeah.
And part of, I think, your strategy is to help businesses become more efficient.
Absolutely. That's the name of our game. We have to show ROI, or our customers need to show ROI for investing in automation and things like that. So yeah, we have to come up with solutions that save time, save money, improve quality, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So you're a Sentinel graduate, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So did you start the business while you were still at Sentinel, or was it soon after?
It was soon after, like months after.
Months after. Yeah, so literally while you were a student or finishing up.
Kind of. Yeah. There was a little bit of part-time stuff going on while I was still in school.
Wow.
Officially, we didn't start until about a year and a half after I graduated high school. But
wow.
But yeah, we were fiddling around.
Yeah, and now you've grown it to, how many square feet do you have out there approximately?
About 75,000 square feet out on Heritage Drive.
Yeah, so grown from starting this as you're probably 18, 19 years old at the time?
Yeah.
To now you have 75,000.
Our first garage shop was about 2,500 square feet.
Oh my gosh, so the size of probably a typical home or something is what you started in.
About the size of this room.
About the size of this room you started off, and oh my gosh. And how about your employees? How many folks do you have out there?
We're just over 60 right now.
I assume you started with just one being you?
Started with one. I was actually part-time, and there were 3 full-time people before I came on full-time.
Okay.
I was working another job in Fremont, which is where I started to get into the automation, and I started there as a machinist and went into machine assembly, and then got into engineering while I was there. Excuse me. And so I was literally kind of getting a paid education. So I stayed there as long as I possibly could, and the long hours caught up with me. We had 2 kids at the time.
Oh my!
Young family. So yeah, once it reached about 100 hours a week consistently, it was time to stop that and just focus on our own machine.
Yeah, and growing the business, which you've grown now to do very well here in Tiffin-Seneca.
Yeah, thank you.
Because that facility's grown a lot. We were talking, I know before we started, that you said like 30,000 square feet. You've added on a couple of times now.
Yeah. When we built that building, we came from a 2,500 square foot space, and our intention was to use 10,000 feet. And when we moved into that, it was like, wow, what are we gonna do with all this room? And I couldn't imagine using that entire building at the time it was built. And now we've added on to it a couple times since then. So,
Well, but the growth has been because of your dedication, your staff's dedication, people really working hard
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
I know
Great people.
Yeah, I know a lot of people come to you, especially in the industry business, when they're having some sort of a problem with production or whatever, and they kind of have you come up with a creative solution, right? You don't necessarily do like a lot of manufacturers and just manufacture the same thing over and over and over. You come up with like custom solutions for folks.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say we build snowflakes.
Yeah.
And yeah, over the years we've only had a couple of occasions, at least on the custom equipment stuff, where we build the same. We built the same thing, duplicated a machine.
Which is very different for Tiffin, because I'm in almost all of our manufacturing plants, and almost all of them in Seneca County area manufacture the same, whatever it may be, the same 10 parts, the same 5 parts. You're different in the fact that every time we go in there, you have something different.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah, which is very neat, if you ask me. I mean, it's probably also kind of cool for your staff that they're able to not necessarily go in and do the exact same thing every day. They're coming up with creative solutions and really working their brains, their hands, other things, versus, well, I know I come in at this time, this is exactly what I'm building, that I've been building for the last 20 years.
Right.
You've got a unique approach to things.
Yeah, that's one of the things that is very popular with our crew, is that a lot of our projects start literally with a clean sheet of paper. Here's a problem, or maybe not a issue, but here's a solution that's needed, and we start from there, start brainstorming and
Coming up
sketching
with a very
things out.
creative,
Yeah.
So what would you say, because I know you design all kinds of interesting things, what are maybe the top 1 or 2 things that are the coolest or the neatest that you all have come up with over the years?
The coolest or the neatest?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
My favorite was obviously that robot that I was watching that day that you demoed that was moving all over the place.
Yeah, I forget which one that was. It might have been this one. We just recently did a robotic cell for a windshield manufacturer, that it would literally take a windshield for the way the cell was laid out and for speed, and lift it up over, and it went clear over the top to put it into another fixture on the other side. And we had to set that robot to go as fast as it could go without slinging the glass out of the vacuum cups to make cycle time, to make the rate that it needed to go. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. So that machine probably took the spot where you would have probably had to have several people with like those old-fashioned suction cups on the window, and they would have been physically carrying it, moving it.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We know right now, because everywhere we go, people can't hire enough employees. There's X amount of jobs open in Seneca County, in Hancock County, Wood County. So it's not like you're creating things to take jobs away from people. No. You're just helping manufacturers continue with their level of production that they need.
Correct. Yeah, and that's the theme. That's where we really come in to help. Is it's not that they're trying to reduce headcount. So they just don't have, they don't have enough people. There's just not as many people in the workforce as there was.
That's exactly what it is. So, I know the study I had read, I think there's something like 10 million people less from the baby boomer generation to the workforce we have now. And it's not that people don't want to work, because the unemployment rate is so darn low as it is.
Right.
It's just there's not enough people out there.
Right.
Which, I mean, I guess if there's a bad side of the coin to be on and a good side, you'd rather be on the side that the work is so plentiful and there's not enough people, but it still hampers production. So that's why folks like you have to come up with solutions for the manufacturers in the community.
Exactly. That's what keeps us busy.
Yeah. So how much of your work is done in Ohio versus, I guess, the rest of the country? And I assume you even do some overseas work?
We do, not overseas, but we do business in Canada and Mexico.
Okay.
And we have systems from California to I think it's Maine. We have a
coast to coast
customer out there. Yeah, coast to coast. I would say probably 30 to 40% of it is in Ohio, and we like to do as much as we can here. But we also our marketing is North America, so we'll answer the phone. Yeah. Whoever calls.
Yeah, well, and that's what we see. We see it more and more in all these facilities that we're going in, is they're improving automation, because there's not, as we talked about, there's just not enough jobs out there. Yeah. So why don't you talk a little bit about how you got started? I know you touched on it a little bit, but for people out there who maybe are looking at starting a business, or they don't, they've got a cool idea.
Yeah.
Like, how was it? What was it like in the early years? I'm sure it was scary being an entrepreneur, and kind of going off on your own. But
Yeah.
what was it like 30 years ago when you started to grow the business?
Well, we started with, as I mentioned, a machine shop. So we had a milling machine and we had a couple lathes, turning machines, and the lathes were built in the 1920s. And the milling machine was newer. It was built in the 1940s. So
Newer.
yeah, not a lot newer.
Yeah,
but
it's all about perspective.
it was affordable.
Yes.
That's what it was. It was affordable.
Built well if it was from the 40s.
Yeah, it was still working. We were able to make a lot of good parts on that equipment. And then I think we were two years in, and it was Richfoot and Sidek at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Which is what this organization,
yeah, is what TSEP formerly was. We were able to obtain through the revolving loan fund, obtain financing to buy our first brand new machine, which was pretty cool. It was a small CNC lathe, and that that really kind of helped that machine, and the ability that brought kind of helped kickstart some things. The equipment that we had was effective for a lot of really little small things, but advancing our technology at that time helped out quite a bit.
I'm sure it was very inefficient compared to today's standards, operating a machine from the 20s and from the 40s. I mean, the 20s, that was pre-World War I or World War II machine.
Those things should have been in a museum at that time.
And here you were using it, getting the business up and running. So, yeah. Well, that revolving loan fund has been helpful to several local businesses. So
I'm sure.
Yeah. So you utilized that to essentially buy some new equipment so you could continue to grow the business, and that's what it's there for. And I think, more often it would be nice to see businesses decide to use that, because I think a lot of folks don't realize that there is loan money out there available as long as you meet standards and you agree to pay it back.
Right.
There are some very good programs, and that helped. And Rich Fote, Rich did so much good for the whole Seneca County area when he was in this role with this organization, and helping folks like you continue to grow your business. So what would you describe entrepreneurship and being a business owner? Like, how would you describe that to folks?
It's a lot of fun. It's there's a lot of challenges that go along with it, but overall it's kind of fun. I think it's a mindset kind of. I don't know. I think some people are born with it. Some people aren't.
It's hard to teach.
It's It's hard to teach. I kind of feel like I was born with it. My grandfather. A lot of my family was that way, but
I think the Arnold Machine or Arnold family name is known very well in Seneca County, especially with entrepreneurship and businesses.
Arnold Vending started in my grandparents' basement back in 1948.
Yeah, we're hoping to have your grandfather or one of them on this here in a future episode. So I think
my uncle. Probably.
Have John on
cool.
here. Yep, we'd love to have John.
Yeah. It's there's a lot that I was talking to. It was kind of funny you brought that up, because I was talking to a young, I call him kid, but he's just starting his shop now, and ran into him at the pizza party actually this week downtown, or last week downtown, and we were talking about the ups and downs, and he started a small machine shop, and I said, man, if you ever figure out how to smooth that out, the peaks and valleys, you should just write a book and then forget the machine shop part of it, because you'll be a bestseller. It's difficult. Our business is I don't want to say feast or famine, but it sometimes it is, where we'll get just totally slammed with new business, and then a few months later we get hardly. Not a whole lot of anything. Yeah. So,
and it's
a lot of it's economy based.
Economy based, and also tied to the fact that you make more unique products. You're not making that certain part that's going straight to a major manufacturer or whatever. You're doing very unique orders. So, I'm sure it's got to be a little scary at times, but at the same time, it's rewarding. And you've obviously done well, and your employees have done well out at Arnold.
Yeah, thank you.
30 years. I know we were talking off air about National Machinery at 150, and it would be pretty neat. Obviously, neither of us will be around for it, but it would be very neat to see your business one day as Arnold Machine grow and celebrate its whatever it is, 100-year, 50-year anniversary here in the Tiffin community.
Yeah,
so,
right on.
Yeah. So what are some things that you hope to see in the future for the Tiffin area, or what has attracted you to remain here? Because obviously with a business like yours, you could easily move it and your family to anywhere else, potentially closer to where there's maybe a college providing direct engineering students for you, because we don't have a local engineering program in Tiffin and Seneca County. So what keeps you here?
Well, I love the community. I'm born and raised, lived here my whole life. So that's, I guess the first thing, but we have a lot of customers come in from different places, and a common comment when they, finally find us is, man, there's a lot of corn around here. Man, there's a lot of corn. And I'm proud of that. There is a lot of corn around here. I'm not a farmer, but that's our demographic.
We're a bit of a breadbasket here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And we have, our workforce is good, solid. We have Sentinel in the community. As a Sentinel grad, that's kind of near and dear to me. And
you're up on the wall. You're like on the Hall of Fame wall.
There is a wall of
or Wall of Fame, Hall of Fame.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
You're on there. I've seen that. Well, they should be proud of you. A Sentinel student right after he finishes school has started his business, and now you've got a company with 75,000 square feet, and depending on where you're at, 60, 80 employees at a time. And it's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
it really
Thank
is.
You.
So,
that's a cool thing.
You correct, right? You don't have an engineering degree or anything like that.
I do not. Yeah. The book part of it wasn't my thing. Yep. The hands-on was.
Yeah, and that's why I think the United States is so good, because we have so many different buckets of people like that. We have people who are great at college and they go on, they become whatever, doctors and lawyers and whatnot. And then we have folks like you who know what you want to do. You know how to do it. Yeah. You don't need all of that. You went out and you started your own business, and here you are. Yeah, let's go. Maybe that's what we can title a podcast. Let's go with Zach Arnold.
Just go. Yep.
Yeah. So Tiffin, obviously being this rural area with all the great people, is what keeps you here. What do you hear from the customers other than we're surrounded by corn? I assume they come into town and they see other things, or are they straight into Arnold and out? Do they talk about other things that are good in this community?
And that varies. People love downtown area. The Clover Club is usually a hot spot when we have our customers come in, visitors come in. Overall the feedback is good. People like coming here.
That's great. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear too. Yeah, keep
exactly.
Coming back.
We want to. We want to continue to see you and all the other businesses grow, because I know. So we started. You're in North Star Industrial Park. We have North Star and Eagle Rock, the two industrial parks here in Tiffin, and both of those 35, 40 years ago were empty farm fields.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we had people with foresight, and those being Mayor Dave Martine at the time. And then after him was Mayor Bernie Holman, Rich Fote, who was the leader of SIDEC, which used to be this organization. Now we just TSEP, but we're still literally SIDEC. That foresight is what got us to where we're at with all of these different businesses. Because who knows where you would have located your business. You might have not been able to find land to locate it here.
Right. That's exactly right. Where we started on Miami Street, there wasn't any room to grow there. We had talked about a bunch of different scenarios on how we could potentially, do something different at that place where we could continue at that location where we could continue to grow it, and it just wasn't in the cards. So I think when the North Star Industrial Park was built, that was built right around early 90s, 91, 92,
I think it was
99, 92, somewhere in that range.
Because Martine was done, I think, in 95 or 6. So he had completed the North Star part.
And so it was probably 5 years after that when we decided to locate out there, and it worked out really well. To have enough land to build a larger building than what we needed and be able to grow into it, but then also to continue to add on. I didn't really have the foresight at that time to know that we were going to get there, or where we are now. But it's been great to have that ability to do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, you're exactly right. I don't know where it would have gone.
Yeah, who knows? You could have been up in the Toledo area where they've got an engineering school,
Sure.
or you could have been anywhere, and your business probably be successful wherever you are. So I think that's what's important is people should understand that the fact that we are, even our previous leaders, 30, 40 years ago had growth plans for Tiffin. And I think that's why Tiffin continues to be so successful, is because we plan our growth. We don't just wait for things to happen and sit around, and thankfully here we are, and you've done the same with your business. So do you want to talk a little bit about, I know I don't even know if transition's the right word, but you've brought Maxwell onto the facility, and you're staying on, it's just a little different role. Do you want to talk a little about how things have transitioned a bit?
Yeah. So Maxwell Honazite, he's our new president. I've been in that role, president role, for 30 years. We're in our 30th year now. And with the transition, and this has been on my mind for the last couple of years, and Maxwell came along, and this was a good opportunity for him,
both of you, and the company.
for him and for myself. And what it's done for me is it's enabled me to go back into a role that is kind of a what got us here kind of thing. So I'm more in the business development, customer facing, and I'm out visiting with customers and coming up with, standing on their floor, looking at their process and helping them come up with solutions.
Versus doing all that and trying to run the company.
Versus doing a little bit of that and a whole lot of the other stuff. Now I'm doing a lot more of what I love to do, and Maxwell fortunately loves to do the other stuff. So that's a win-win.
Fit. Yeah, it's a win for both of you, and I think that's what everybody who probably starts a business dreams of growing it to the point that they can have the role that they want within the business versus doing the things that they just kind of have to do because they're the, whatever the title is at the time, the president, the owner, the CEO, whatever.
Right.
And I think you've got a great solution now that you've got Maxwell, who loves that internal operations side. You've loved the customer interaction. You love the problem solving. And now you've got a great 1-2 punch. And I think we're going to continue to see Arnold grow.
That's the plan. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, I think we're nearing the end of our time. Why don't we just talk a little bit about the personal side of Zach Arnold? What do you like to do? What drives you in the personal world outside of business?
Well, family. I've been married. Actually, next month we're celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations. Well, this is quite the 30th year, isn't it? Business started, wedding anniversary. Congratulations.
Yeah, so there was a couple years there in the early mid-90s that were very busy for
I would certainly say so.
Yeah, so we have that coming up next month. Our kids are 29 and 31, and so that's pretty cool. We don't have any grandkids yet.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I, we enjoy RVing. We got a little golden doodle puppy it's a year old now, that we spoil the heck out of until we have some grandkids to spread the load a little bit.
That's what
the poor dog has to take it all.
Yeah,
right now.
That poor dog. I'm sure it just makes the dog so sad that it gets all the attention.
Right. But no, that's about it. I guess hobbies. I like to race cars and mess around with mechanical things. And
how many cars do you have? Do you have a count?
There's more.
I know you love cars.
More than necessary.
More than necessary. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's for sure. But not as many as some of my other friends. So
sure. Okay.
Somewhere in the middle is where I'm at.
Hey, it's good that we all have passions, right?
Yeah.
Right. Some of them just cost a little more than other passions that we have. So yeah. Good. No, I really appreciate you coming on today and just kind of telling some of the story.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm sure it's helpful. Seneca Spotlight's one of those things that we just try to shine a spotlight on local businesses and show other people who are entrepreneurs or considering being entrepreneurs what it's about. And I think your story, just like our previous episodes in the future, really show people just different sides of entrepreneurship and business management and ownership. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, for sure. I'm glad I could help, and thanks for having me.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Zach.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.